Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the mini-series 3 Fleets, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Part 2. The Interview. Transcript of video recorded 6 months after the liberation of Della. A female Delahan sits down in a stool. Translation provided by Fleet Services. Delahan. Sit here. Producer, off screen. Yes, there is good. Okay, please look into the camera and tell us your name. That might be a little difficult for our systems to translate. Can we call you Sally? Nah, that would be fine. Okay, Sally. You can start whenever you like. What should I say? Just tell your story. My story. My story begins 12 years ago. I was born in Della. We had been under Turlock rule for 6 generations at that point. My mother had become pregnant without overseer approval. As punishment, she was sent to the Weller coal mines when I was stopped nursing. It was a hard life for her. I found out much later that she had died 8 months after arriving. My father was always sad. The love of his life had been taken. I know he loved me very much, but... Sally looks away from the camera and presses a tentacle over her face. Sorry. It's okay. Take your time. My father raised me alone. There was only 2 other children in our camp, and I did not get along with them. As all life does, I grew to adulthood. The Turk sent me to a different camp on my 9th birthday. I was an adult then, and ready for an adult's work. I never saw my father again. At the new camp, Lecut, I met, proper noun untranslatable, and we fell madly in love. We would sneak off after lights out to hold each other. He gifted me with 3 Delan strawberries. One evening, it was the most beautiful gift I'd ever received. My beloved was transferred to a new camp 3 days later, and I never saw him again. Video interrupted and resumed sometime later. This so much more than you want to hear. You're doing great. This is your story, and you tell it however you want. As my mother before me, I'd become pregnant without permission. I knew what would happen. Only this time the Truk would sentence both mother and child to inevitable death. Because the father wouldn't be there for the child. Yes. I couldn't let them do that to me or my child. They had taken my childhood, and I would give them no more. When my time was near, one of these wise women in the camp came to me to help me deliver the baby. I asked her to help me escape. She refused. I asked her to help my child escape. She refused. I asked if she had children, and she said she had 8, all with Truk permission. She called me a stupid child, said that I'd made life that much worse for the others who would want to become mothers. She would never help me. Her job was to make sure my child and I survived, but no more. That delivery was the most painful thing that I'd ever been through. My daughter was born healthy, but a slave. I knew I could not condemn her to the same life that I had. When I looked into her deep black eyes, I swore with every piece of my being that I would make any sacrifice to keep her safe. As my daughter grew, I knew our time was drawing short. I had no idea about what was beyond the walls of the camp, but I knew what was inside the walls, so I risked everything and fled. For 13 days, my daughter and I ran. We slept when we could. I fed on the wild plants in the deep forest, and she nursed whenever I could get her to. I knew this would not last. I could hear the patrols out looking for us from time to time. They were becoming more frustrated with each passing day. An infant and a nursing mother should not be able to elude the Turlock security forces, and they were embarrassed. Our luck, as it does, ran out on the morning of the 14th day. We'd come to the edge of the woods. There was a wide clearing ahead of us, and I could hear the Turk closing in behind us. If we stayed put, they would find us. Their embarrassment had grown so much, I knew that they would kill my daughter as I watched them take turns abusing me, until I too died at the edge of the woods. There were rumors in the camp of Turk eating infants. Video interrupts. The other option was to make a run across the clearing carrying an infant. There was no way I could outrun the soldiers. Could you have made it without your daughter? Maybe. But there would be no point in living without her. Was turning to left or right an option? They would still caught us. There was no place to hide, and no other options. I ran across the clearing as fast as I could whip my legs. Translated note. Appendages or tentacles possible could carry us. I made it nearly a third of the way across before the first Turk broke the tree line. They shouted to each other as they had found me, and the chase was on. I thought my heart would explode from the fear or exertion. My daughter had grown quiet, sensing her mother's fear. I hit a tangle of grass just as I made it halfway. I turned as I fell to protect my daughter, but that pulled something in my leg. The Turk caught up in moments. I held my daughter tightly as the tears clouded my eyes. I've never felt that helpless or hopeless. To look into a child's eyes and know that there was nothing that you could do to save them. Then I saw the most beautiful sight that I'd ever seen. On my back, in that forest clearing, I saw thousands of brilliant orange fireballs in the sky. I thought that it was some kind of meteor storm, or that the gods had finally decided to cleanse our planet. I prayed that it would deliver us a quick death and kill the Turk. But it wasn't a meteor storm. No, it wasn't a meteor storm. One of the meteors crashed into the clearing a few tens of meters from my daughter and I. The Turk were frozen in fear because it wasn't a meteor. The first metal creature pulled an angry-looking device up to its shoulder, and painful bright light and sound leapt into the face of the Turk nearest me. I still remember seeing his head melt and then disintegrate as he stood over me with his venom sacs pulsing. The other Turk had finally figured out that they were in danger and began to raise their weapons. As the lead metal creature reached me, it glanced over at the Turk bodies lying on the long grass, then turned to me. He lifted his faceplate, and I saw a soft pink face on this giant beast. He tapped a glowing square on his arm that played a recording. It said to not be afraid, and that they were here to help us fight the Turk. The creature pointed at himself and said the first foreign word that I ever learned. Human. Translator note, phonetic translation of human. The high omens brought death to the Turk and hope to the Dalahan. Some feared that you would be worse masters than the Turk. Instead, you shocked us all by giving us our freedom. Why would you do this? What do you mean? Why would you people come to my planet, risk your own lives, fight an entire army for a people you don't know? For a people that don't even know that you exist. Humans are born with a strong sense of fairness. We don't like injustice. I'm not well-traveled. Slaves usually aren't, but I cannot imagine another species would have risked so much for strangers. Task Force Defiance liberated Della in 4 days. Over 50 million Trillic were killed or captured, and the entire population was freed for the first time in 70 Earth years. End of story. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Iraq-Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps: Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Try Again 95, Fudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Athelia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.